So I have a question for you. Where do you find God? You know, if you ask me where I found my favorite cheeseburger, I'd definitely say Five Guys. If you ask me where my favorite, most delicious burrito is, I'm gonna definitely say Chipotle. But, you know, if I asked my coworkers, where do you find God? Or my friends, they might say, I find God in nature. And I totally get it. I see God in nature too. You know, just looking at the hills of Tennessee, and when the leaves would change, it's a beautiful masterpiece. And I can't help but see God in that. And even when I see the ocean, you know, here, it's beautiful. It's awesome to see the waves crashing into the sand, and I totally see God in that too. But if I were to ask you where you found God, you'd probably say a place like this. Church. It's the obvious answer, right? But the Bible says where 2 or 3 are gathered, there He is. Interesting. But you know, when Jesus was speaking, He would talk about how we would be divided. One of 2 groups. You're either going to be a believer or you're going to be an unbeliever. And He would say, whenever I was hungry, you fed me. Whenever I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was sick, you helped me. And you know, those that were listening would say, Lord, you were never sick. You were never naked on the side of the road. You weren't hungry. You never went without. And He would say, whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me. And He would turn to the unbelievers and say, whatever you didn't do for the least of these, you didn't do to me. I can imagine their shock. I mean, what does that mean? Jesus was the needy person on the side of the road? Like, does that even make sense? I mean, it's hard for me to even wrap my brain around that. You know, it makes total sense to look for God here. But Jesus says, if you really, really want to find me, you can find me here with those in need, the hurting, the hungry, the widowed, those that need clothing. This is where God is. You want to see God move? You'll find Him here with those in need. You know, a lot of you may not know this about me, but I have an uncle who is, he's a little slow, and he's always been in my life, obviously. And he's always, I think because I have him in my life, I'm definitely more compassionate towards those in need. I just have a heart that breaks for those that are hurting or hungry. But you know, having compassion doesn't mean a whole lot unless you put it to action. You know, my father used to take us on Thanksgiving Day, and before we had our meal, we would go feed the homeless. Feed those that didn't have a home to go to for Thanksgiving, that didn't have a family that supported them. That's what I'm talking about. Taking action. That's where Jesus is. And you know, I also went on the City of Refuge trip last year, and it changed my life. I saw children's eyes light up when I gave them a hug. A hug. Just showing love. I saw a mother's eyes light up when I just came and talked to her about her child and encouraged her. That's seeing love move. That's seeing the face of Jesus. You know, we can read all we want about serving. You know, Romans 12 calls us to serve. But you can't just learn it. You have to see it, and you have to do it. You know, there's so many opportunities out there, but it's got to start with you, and it's got to start with me. So this is where we are, church. And you know, a lot of you can make excuses about not serving. You could say, well, that person over there stinks, or I really don't have time to do this, or why doesn't that person just get up off their butt and get a job? I mean, it's so easy to make excuses, but that doesn't change a thing. I mean, what is sitting around talking doing? Nothing. It's time to get out there and help the least of these. Just as Jesus said, when you help the least of these, you help me. And I don't know about you, but when I meet Jesus, I want him to say, thank you. Thank you for helping me. Because when you help that person on the side of the road, when you help this person or that person, you are helping me. So it's time. It's time to get out there and put faith to action and let love move.